Mark, would you like to try and distill your opinion on it, if you could, with a bit of brevity, because I know that you have much to say on this, and maybe you don't want to say it now, but if you would, that would be nice.
Oh gosh.
And I'm just going to take a step back. I'm going to get a drink, but I'm listening, so let you guys talk about it.
Okay. I'm gonna have a hard time distilling this, and I've been asked this multiple times. But I think there's a problem with the argument itself. I question the question, the assumptions being made. For example, the so-called red button, when say pressed, would you push it? I could just push back as well and say, would you push the green button and alleviate all suffering while you can continue to exist? Or press a yellow button to make everyone sterile, or press, there's so many hypothetical buttons that we can push that I don't know why mass annihilation is the one that intuitively comes to the forefront of people's minds. And I think that there's a problem with localizing some of the premises of whether or not annihilating everyone instantly isn't a harm. Because if you put it on the individual case that you could annihilate a person, an individual instantly, what would be the harm? And I'd question what people's negative consequences to that would be. If it's based on social connections, well, then you eliminate that criteria, that or that factor in the hypothetical that the person doesn't know anybody. Would it still be okay to annihilate that person? And I would say no. And if it doesn't work in the localized case, I think that the argument needs way more backing for omnicide, for the annihilation of all sentient life. So I think they need to work out more on it. And also I think there's a distinction to be made that antinatalism, a logical consequence of universal acceptance of this, would be a voluntary annihilation. However, that doesn't mean that it implies that we accelerate or that we try to bring about this type of extinction. In my view, I think that antinatalism is about the creation of life and the ethics about the creation of life. And if you're talking about this this red button, I think that's a reductio of negative utilitarianism. So this has been debated for a while in other ethics, and I don't think it necessarily implies antinatalism. But I know people argue that if you accept antinatalism, you have to accept that we should push the red button. And then there are people that they take it even further and say that we should be pro-mortalist. And so I think these are internal dialogues, but I think at the same time it may be, I mean, I find it philosophically interesting, but like practically, I don't see it happening where it's even there's so much unknowns about the situation and the hypothetical that it's really difficult to answer.
Yeah.
Like what if life emerges again, right? Like that's another thing. And did you just create more suffering if life can't regulate itself like we can do for our species, or have the capacity for moral agency? Are we just creating other life forms that may suffer even more? I don't know. There's just too many unknowns.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, Mark, I liked what you said at the beginning of that, where you mentioned, like, why are we obsessed with the red button? Why aren't we thinking about a green button?
Yeah, like when people hear about antinatalism, they think about, well, I don't know with antinatalism, but like when this topic comes up, people immediately think about red buttons and they don't think about the other buttons, right? And I don't know why that's the case.
It is interesting, and Yeah, why not try and obsess about a button that makes everything okay? They do have arguments against that. They talk about the kind of, if you do press make a button that makes everyone happy, well, you're kind of removing the kind of human experience, if you like.
Yeah, well, we're arguing human experience is shit anyway. So like, why would that be an issue? I don't know.
That's what I think as well. I agree with you there. But I've heard them arguing that we're just reducing the kind of human experience to like being this kind of thing sitting on a sofa, with hamburgers being pumped into them, just slobbering and laughing, at this kind of fake, phony reality. And what's the point of that?
First of all, why would it be fake?
there-
Why would I want to push you on this? Why would it be fake? If that's just a different adaptation to reality. And we're going to continue that anyway with advances in technology and science. We're adapting to our environment.
Yeah. No. By the way, I'm not making the argument for it. I'm just saying that is what they say in their community.
Yeah.
I think you're right. But why is that phony? Nearly everything we do could be perceived as phony. Wearing spectacles, taking medicine, anything that we do that is trying to improve our experience or our level of well-being could be viewed as phony in that regard. And I agree with you. I don't necessarily think it is phony. I think it's just another way of experiencing reality.
And who am I to say that the way someone else gets pleasure is superficial or not meaningful or not purposeful, when the whole human endeavor is objectively, cosmically, meaningless. So let's say Sean is into dancing, and he derives joy out of that. Who am I to say that if he had no suffering and he wanted to pursue dance and have a dance studio and travel and all this stuff, that that's just a fake reality? No, that's meaningful for him. And for me, I would want to pursue what I derive pleasure out of. And if someone wants to sit on the couch and eat burgers and play video games, fine, that's their own thing. Just make sure it's a vegan burger. Don't harm others. That's fine.
Yeah.